Okay, so today we're actually going to talk about the power of a leveraged residual income, okay, and the Nu Skin compensation plan. But before I begin, I got to kind of teach you this concept of leverage because it's very, very critical. So here's leverage, okay? In life, you can either leverage money at work, okay, at work, or you can actually leverage people at work. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's suppose that we just graduated from school, high school or college, doesn't really matter. And the bottom line is we want to go get a job. Okay, we want to start our new working life. So we enter into something that looks like a pyramid here. And we get our foundation of education, or whatever it works out to be. And now we go get ourselves a job. Okay? In that job, okay, we actually work very, very, very hard, self-promote, if you will, so that we can climb this corporate ladder. We've all heard this before. And we end up technically crawling up the backs of other people. I'm going to teach you about some fallacies that I believe exist in this model. The first is this, okay? If I don't like this job, I could technically be in there, I could be working there just so that I can gain enough experience, rob, if you will, from these guys what they do well, and go maybe start my own company. So if I can't grow to the top, okay, this is me, this is my own little pyramid, eventually I want some employees, you'll notice, okay, there's very little room at the top in corporate America. Okay? There's a CEO, there might be some executive vice presidents, some other vice presidents, some regional managers, and so on and so forth, all the way down to the grunt workers down here. This is the pyramid that you buy into when you get a job. So if you're taught like me when you were young, hey, you need to go out and own your own company, hey, this was me. Go get some experience. I have some experience now. Now I'm going to compete technically against the company that I actually used to work for. So I go start a job. Now, what you have to understand is, statistically speaking, okay, 90% of all small businesses fail within their first 5 years. So you only have a 10% chance of being successful. But let's assume here for a second that you were. Okay? And you now build yourself a sizable company with a bunch of employees and a bunch of managers and different things here. And now you actually are a competitor of the original company you worked for. Okay? And you're actually now taking market share away. This is traditional business. If, on the other hand, you fail, you just go basically work for another company, gain some other experience, some other skill sets, and you go through this process. Again, 90% chance that you're going to fail in your own business. Why? Okay? It's very difficult, if you're good at sales, to understand finance or management or different things. It's just too difficult to wear too many hats. So maybe if you have a great idea and you're telling people in the world, look, I'm relevant, I'm in front of some kind of a trend, we have a product or a service, look at me. Okay? Maybe you're going to have to go out and share the equity of that business with somebody else that has more experience. Maybe if you don't understand finance very well, you'll go give up some of your equity to somebody that understands finance, if you get my point. So this is a very, very, very difficult process, but I don't want to knock it too much, because this is technically how America runs. Okay? Small businesses of America. Okay? Just it has some fallacies here. The reason it has some fallacies is because ultimately, if you do become self-employed and you do start your own business, you ultimately are going to end up with people that go out and start their own business, taking your ideas, okay, and then becoming your competitor. And so you end up in this massive, perpetual, okay, cycle that never ends. And if that business doesn't work, maybe it goes out and works for another person that gets a job over here until it can gain more and more experience. So to me, okay, and this is what I was kind of sold, if you will, okay, this is fictional leverage of having people at work for you. I'm talking specifically right now of people at work. People at work for you. So let me show you something a little bit better, because the whole goal of this cycle right here is to be able to save enough money and put it away into some type of an investment that you now actually have money at work. So let's talk about that for a second. let's actually break down this cycle and show you maybe something that's more efficient.